What's good, y'all? What's up? My name's Mr. Zoo Nation, aka Savage Armor Jones Giraffe, coming at you with a Megacolony Trap House episode. How you guys doing today? I have something that's not actually Vanguard related. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not Vanguard related. I definitely wanted to make this for like a while now. So how you guys doing? It's been a while since I did a podcast for this channel and whatnot. And all right, anyway, so today I want to talk about Buddyfight because we recently got the Ragnarok set and a lot of stuff hit me, like the feels and everything else like that. And there was just like a lot of emotions going on and a couple of things I had to really think about and everything else. I want to say that there was some stuff I actually regret about playing Buddyfight, and it's not bad. It's not bad. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not bad. It's not. I'm not saying, oh, I regret playing this game. This game is trash and everything else like that. I wish I never played it. No. That's not the case. That's not what I mean by some regrets. When I mean regrets, I mean that there's some stuff that I did regret about that I didn't get a chance to do in the game, and some of the other stuff that I wanted to do but never got a chance to, or anything else. These also do have to come with the problems that the game definitely had, especially my experience with it and whatnot. So I don't know how long this is going to be, so I'm gonna just, if it's like over 30 minutes, I would not be surprised. But anyway, enough with all the introductions and everything else. Let's get this started. So I want to talk about how I started Buddyfight. I actually want to do that. So the way I started Buddyfight was me and one of my Vanguard play groups. We were playing Vanguard, and one of them decided that he wanted to rewatch Buddyfight, and I guess it got him hyped up because then he came like the next day talking about, hey, we should all try to play Buddyfight and whatnot. And I'm sitting here like, I've never played it before. I never played it, never watched the show or anything else like that. Everybody else in the play group has though. Like everybody else in the play group has. And I decided to give it a chance. I was like, okay, let me watch the anime first. Let me see if I'm actually feeling this or anything else like that. So I decided to watch it for a while, and I did start to like it. Now here's the thing: before I started watching Buddyfight, I did hear about some of the stuff being cheesy. So my expectations, it wasn't low, but I was expecting it to be very cheesy, and it was. It was kind of cheesy, but it was kind of cheesy like in an innocent way, like how like you see some of that ridiculous stuff that in Yu-Gi-Oh, like you're kind of like wondering why the hell does this exist and why the hell does some of this stuff actually happen in it. And it was like at the time when you're a kid, you're not really thinking about it, but as you grow up as an adult, you're like, this shit was stupid. But you still, because you grew up with it and everything else like that, you enjoyed it. That's what I kind of felt like with Buddyfight. I felt like Buddyfight, in my honest opinion, it wasn't like how when you look at Vanguard, it takes itself seriously. The plot is the plot does get pretty serious and stuff like that. And not everything in Vanguard is lighthearted. It eventually takes its dark turn. With Buddyfight, on the other hand, yes, it has some serious and dark moments. Yes, it has some grown up moments and stuff like that, but you can already tell right off the bat, it knows what it is. So for a fact that you're not going to get like the most serious plot or anything else like that, but they make it work, and that's what I love about it. So after I watched the anime, I was like, okay, I'm in. Let's try to play Buddyfight. So we all tried to get trial decks and stuff like that. The deck that I got, the first trial deck that I got was Scorching Sun Dragon. That was like the Bow trial deck and stuff like that. So I forgot to tell like the time. This was around the time when Triple D's was still a thing. So it's not like completely like Triple D's though, but it's still like in the same type. It's in the same time frame. Like it's like probably like a little bit in the middle of Triple D's and whatnot. So this is like sometime in 2017 or whatnot. So anyway, we're doing this. We got all the trial decks. I was playing it. I was enjoying it a lot. You know, at first I was feeling the deck, but here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what I like to do in every card game. In every card game, I want to have at least 2 decks, like 2 decks minimum. And there's a couple of reasons why I want to do this. The first reason is I don't want to get bored of just playing one particular deck. I can enjoy a deck as much as I want to. If it's the only deck that I have in hand, you know, it's eventually going to get boring, especially if you're going against somebody who has multiple decks and they're all like, oh yeah, let's play a couple of rounds of this deck and then I'm going to switch to another one and all this other stuff, you know. So I want to have more than one particular deck. The second deck doesn't have to be like full tier 1 or anything else like that. It just has to be like maybe budget or anything else like that, or it has to be like, as long as it's playable, I don't care. But the second thing is, what was it? The second thing is I like the shadow play. You know, I know like it's a weird thing to say, but I do like the shadow play because I do see, as far as like deck building goes and everything else, you know, I like to see, you know, what the possible hands are, what the possible plays are, and everything else like that. And, you know, I will admit, I do shadow play, but, you know, that's basically because I'm not going to say I take card games seriously, but, you know, I am very passionate about it. So, you know, of course, if there's any way for me to improve my game, to improve my gameplay, to improve my combos and everything else like that, you know, shadow playing is the thing. But I'm not going to go heavily into it because that would just take up a lot of time. So overall, I like more than one particular deck because it won't have my main deck be boring. I won't burn myself out of it, and it's just the fact that I like the shadow play. So as I'm watching the anime, of course I'm getting some ideas and stuff like that, but let's be real, at the time that we're starting, they all watch most of what Buddyfight has to offer so far. I'm just getting started, so as we're starting, I'm still like in the first, you know, I'm still in the first season. Like, that's basically how it is. And my thing is, I didn't really enjoy Bow that much. Like, it's not, no offense to anybody who liked Bow or anything else like that, but it wasn't my thing. But there was something that actually got me hooked on the Buddyfight. This is the one thing that got me hooked in the Buddyfight. It's my most favorite character from that show. You know who that is? My nigga Gintama. Oh my god, Gintama's amazing. Like, this is like, Gintama was the overall thing that got me hyped for Buddyfight. Like, the overall thing that got me hyped. You know, it's like everything about this dude meant fucking business, bruh. Like, everything that this dude did. Like, this dude had like the most booming voice when it came to like getting the flag and everything like that. When everybody was all like standing, well, and everybody was trying to rise the flag, you know, they kind of felt all serious and stuff like that. This nigga Gintama was like, I'll search ancient world and stuff like, oh my god, dude. Like, that shit is like hype. That dude gets you hype for no apparent reason. I was like, bruh, that's my most favorite character right there. I have to be with the home dude Genma. Like, that dude was amazing. That dude was amazing. Okay. But anyway, that dude got me hyped. I was like, yo, Dual Seeker, I want to play it. But that was my very first mistake of this game. And this was one of the things that got me spiraling down to not really enjoying the game as much as I wanted to. And that was finding pieces. Okay, think about this. If you're playing a regular card game, right? And there's something that a lot of people don't necessarily play, but at the same time, you know, everything is basically cheap and easy to get, you know. That's kind of sort of like how in Vanguard, how I got into Megacolony. It was very easy to get into a lot of the pieces of cheap at the time that I got into it. And you know, despite that it doesn't have like a very good popularity, it's like one of the least popular clans in the game even today. I think like the recent Gridor kind of changed that. Like I do kind of notice that you starting to see a lot more Mega Colony players now, but it was always that particular clan that nobody really cared for and everything else. And I took that shit with open arms. That's basically the reason why it's called the Megacolony Trap House Podcast, because it's my most favorite clan. You know, I would ride or die for fucking Megacolony. That's how good it is. That's how good it is to me. I know a lot of people don't like it, but that's it. But you would think that anything that a lot of people don't like, you would think that it would be very easy to access. That was not the case with Buddyfight. You know how hard it is to get dual seeker pieces? Like, I got like a majority of the pieces, but you know how hard it was to fix up the deck? Like, I have still to this day haven't finished a dual seeker deck. That's how fucking mad I am. Like, I really wanted to play dual seeker and I never got a chance to because nobody really had the pieces. For one, it's hard enough to find a card shop that has singles. You know, I have like a lot of card shops in my area and stuff like that, and nobody really sells the Buddyfight singles. Like, they sell like the sets, but they don't sell the singles. And when I did finally find a place that tried to sell singles, they didn't sell any. They didn't sell like a lot of the older stuff, unless if it was like a very, you know, expensive card, and maybe they would have had a couple of copies here and there. But they didn't really sell like a lot of the older stuff. Like, one of the places I went to, they only had anything that came out during Buddyfight Triple Ds, and that was kind of annoying a little bit. So my thing was, I go to, and I'm gonna get back to the card shop thing later because that is like a whole nother issue altogether too. But you know, I try to find the pieces, no luck. I try to go online. Let's be real, when you go to TCG Player, Buddyfight is not a part of the top like card games in that particular thing. Like, you're not going to see it like right next to Yu-Gi-Oh, right next to Pokemon, right next to Dragon Ball Super or anything else like that. It's in the more section, and if a card game is in the more section, you already know that the supply and demand is low as shit. And trust me, that was one of the things that it was kind of hard to make the deck, because like a lot of the stuff that I needed to make the deck work didn't really exist, or there was so little, you know, openings and whatnot, or availability, that it was hard to get, you know, copies of, you know, X amount of cards, and it sucks. You know, it really does. I really hate it, to be honest. And you know, as I went to one of the places. I'm gonna tell you, the place is called Frankensons, and I know not everybody's from like California or whatnot though, but to sum it all up, Frankensons is like a warehouse thing where it sells like a bunch of collectibles, action figures, like all the nerdy shit that you can think of. It's at Frankensons, and they do have like a trading card games section and everything else like that. You see a lot of booths selling Magic, you see a lot of booths selling Yu-Gi-Oh, a lot of booths selling Pokemon and Vanguard and all this stuff. There was only 2 booths selling Buddyfight. One of them was like a merger with like one of like the Vanguard one, and then there was like another one that was just doing Buddyfight and kind of sort of Weiss. But my thing is, before they change locations, because like recently this year they did change locations. Like, before they changed locations, there was like 2 places selling it, and then after they changed locations, nobody at the current Frankensons at the moment is really selling Buddyfight stuff. Like, that's how low in demand the game has gotten. And this was way before the announcement that they were going to like shut the game down came up. So, after all that, you know, he did the person that wanted the boost told me, hey, I know you want to play dual Seeger and I know it's hard to get the pieces, but have you ever thought about playing dual Jaeger? And I was like, oh, dual Jaeger, what's that? Keep in mind that at this time I wasn't at Triple D's yet, so I didn't know any of the stuff that happened like within it. So he showed me the deck and everything else like that. You know, I was like, okay, I'll buy a trial deck and whatnot. I'll see how it goes. Loved the absolutely hell out of it. And then even when I got to like the when I finally did get to, you know, Triple D's, like Die's amazing too. Like Die's interesting. So anyway, I'm not gonna get too into that though, but like, man, when Die and Genma had that fight, my god, that was amazing. That was hype. I was hella hype. That is honestly my most favorite match out of the whole series. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. My thing is, I got dual Jaeger, tried it out, loved it. Was actually not completely dominating my play group though, but like, man, I was giving people a run for their money, man. Yeah, that was interesting. So I was giving my play group a run for his money and everything else like that, and I was enjoying the deck a lot, and I decided, hey, I may not have dual Seeger, but I do have dual Jaeger, so I'm just gonna ride or die with dual Jaeger, and that's exactly what I did. I still have my dual Jaeger deck right now, but then, you know, then there becomes another problem. You know, it goes right, it comes, you know, full circle when it comes to like the one thing I wanted to have, like multiple decks and whatnot. That comes full circle because I want to make more Buddyfight decks. I want to get very interested and invested in the Buddyfight. But the problem was the prices. It's already bad enough that the secondary market is trash. It's just also the fact that it was very hard to get into the game because all the decks were like $400-$500 and stuff like that. Some of it, you think I'm exaggerating, but that's actually true. Is most of the decks are like over $300. Even the ones that are not really quote unquote meta, or, you know, not really relevant to the format or anything else like that, they still cost that much because it's very hard getting the pieces and everything else like that. And, you know, getting singles it's a very difficult process. So, you know, in my honest opinion, trying to get like multiple decks for Buddyfight was not going to happen because, you know, I'm not made of that type of money. I don't really have that type of money. And the second thing is, I play more than just one card game. I play Vanguard, I play Magic, I play both of those competitively. I play, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh from time to time. I don't like really focus on Yu-Gi-Oh that much because I can just play like the Dev Pro and stuff like that, so I don't really have to spend like a lot of money on it. It's like I only buy a Yu-Gi-Oh deck if I really like that deck. If I really like it, then yeah, most definitely I'm spending money on it. But, you know, for the most part, I don't like Yu-Gi-Oh like I used to back in the day to be spending all types of money on it. And then, like, very occasionally, I will have the urge to play Pokemon, so that will be a thing too. But my thing is, I wanted Buddyfight to become. I wanted to get invested in Buddyfight as much as I was invested in Vanguard. Like, that's how much I wanted to do it. I was even thinking of making the whole channel like, you know, partially Buddyfight, partially, you know, Vanguard, kind of like how Card Pro Tag did, you know. But anyway, I wanted to do that, but it never happened because it's, like I said, very hard to get in contact with like a lot of cards and stuff like that. And honestly, it hurts. It hurts a little bit because I had like a lot of ideas I wanted to do, but of course, I'm not a man made out of money. And it was like, if the deck was like, I'm not expecting every deck to be like $50 or something like that though, but if there was like something at a reasonable like price range, you know, getting a deck at like a reasonable price like and stuff like that, I definitely would have went for it, but I couldn't. There was no way in hell I was going to find a deck at a decent price or anything else like that. So That's just me. But then there's the other problem that I ran into, and that's outside of my playing the game outside of my playgroup. This was basically another reason why I didn't really invest into too many decks in Buddyfight, is because I wanted to play outside of my playgroup. I wanted to play other people, but the problem was I couldn't find anybody to play with because there wasn't really a lot of like locals as far as Buddyfight goes. There wasn't really any locals in my area and stuff like that that was actually like playing the game. So on top of like a lot of, you know, places not really carrying the product, there wasn't a lot of places that had people playing the game is at the same time. So that kind of hurt a little bit. I mean, that didn't hurt a little bit, that hurt a lot. And you know, I'm not really going to do a localization thing and really blame the game's problems of localization being a thing, because let's be real, I may have not found a place to play Buddyfight outside of my playgroup, but there's probably like another state like that I'm not in. Like I think the majority of like the East Coast plays Buddyfight, so it could be more of an East Coast thing. Like it's popping in the East Coast. It's probably not popping that much in the West Coast, but I don't know about that. But my thing is I find it weird. I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry. But I find it weird that as a person who lives in LA, where they basically have a locals for almost every single card game that's in existence, I don't understand why I couldn't necessarily find, you know, a locals for Buddyfight. I don't understand why. And it's weird because I have friends who are in North California and they have Buddyfight locals, but I'm wondering where the hell is all the Southern California players? Like, where the hell are you guys at? I haven't really seen that many people. But it's weird because every time Bushiroad has a regionals, there's like 300, 400 players in the Buddyfight tournament. I'm sitting here like, where the fuck are these 400 players like around my area? Like, what the hell? That makes no sense whatsoever. That was actually pretty frustrating, to be honest. And that was honestly what brought me to one of my biggest regrets: never entering a Buddyfight regionals. I never did it because, let's be real, I never played outside of my playgroup. I've never played anybody outside of my playgroup before, and I'm not going to go into a tournament because that will be unprepared. I will be unprepared for that. You know, if I was to go to, like, let's say a Magic tournament, I would go to more than just the card shop that I normally go to, because that would, you know, expand my horizon, expand my knowledge on the format and stuff like that. Study the format more, study to go against different players besides the ones that I'm used to and whatnot. And the same thing goes for Vanguard. You know, if I'm going to go to a Vanguard regionals, I will also want to go to different places where they play Vanguard outside of my playgroup, because guess what? People play differently. People have different styles and everything else like that. So I'm gonna be a lot more prepared. But if I'm just going into a Buddyfight tournament knowing that if I'm going into like a tournament with my only knowledge being the people who are in my playgroup, I'm gonna get my ass kicked. Now, of course, you're gonna say, oh, well, what about just the experience and whatnot? The experience is okay, but one of the worst losses that you can ever get in a tournament is losing to a deck that you don't know how to combat. Like, especially in a game with Buddyfight where there's like an extra deck that you can go to and everything else like that. It's like trying to play against decks that you don't know what to do is very frustrating. But what makes it even worse is there's not really that many Buddyfight YouTube channels either. Like, the only two that I can think of was Card Protagonist, but he doesn't really do, like, I haven't really seen fight videos Buddyfight wise from him. I could be wrong, But the second one will be Buzz TCG. And those are the only two Buddyfight channels that I know of. Now, of course, there may be more, but from the videos that I've been seeing, a lot of them are very outdated. They were like videos that showed up when the game first started and stuff like that. And I'm trying to look at stuff from games that started, from games that was in the current timeline that I was like when I was playing it and whatnot. And of course, since I couldn't find that, it was hard for me to convince me to enter tournaments. That was basically the thing. I only stayed in the Vanguard ones because at least I know the format. I know a lot of the stuff that, comes within the meta and stuff like that. I keep up with the meta religiously and stuff like that. And at the same time, it's in my comfort zone. So my thing is, as much as I wanted to enter a Buddyfight tournament and a Buddyfight regionals, I never got a chance to. Now, of course, when it comes to this local thing, one of my friends, he did manage to try to make a Buddyfight locals, and he was actually successful from it. It was basically the card shop that I normally go to play Vanguard, and he decided that he was going to try to get people to not only come to the card shop but to also play Buddyfight, so Southern California could have like some type of Buddyfight regional. I mean Buddyfight locals and stuff like that. So he was actually kind of sort of successful with it too, and I tip my hat to it. And I tip my hat to him. It is kind of sad that the game has to go like the way it did, and it kind of sort of made like the efforts like a little bit pointless though. But outside of that, man, I do thank him for trying to actually put dedication to making a locals for Buddyfighting and whatnot. But again, it just comes down to I want to play somebody outside of my playgroup. That's just how it is. So with all of that realization, my hypeness for the game went down. The things that I enjoyed about trying to get into the game, it died down a lot. But then there was one thing that completely killed the move for me to play Buddyfight, and that was the meta itself. The meta itself started to get worse. It started to get very powercraft wise, and it felt very, I guess I can kind of sort of say it felt very intimidating. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to card games, I'm a firm believer of adapting, because I feel like as a card fight player, not just in Buddyfight, but in card games in general, one of the biggest ways you can actually try to learn from your experiences, learn from your losses and everything else like that, is adaptation. But at the same time, let's be real, some of it does have to involve changing your deck, changing the deck that you kind of sort of don't really want to play, and everything else. And sometimes you just have to bow down to the meta, because the deck that you want to play no longer can hang with it. And that's what I kind of felt like when it came to Dual Jaeger. There was just way too many things that was getting way too powerful. Like for a prime example, you got the Chaos deck and Lost World and all this other stuff it was getting way too powerful to the point where I couldn't get a single win with Jaeger. And this is going through multiple times, going through multiple breakdowns of the decks, breaking the deck down, rebuilding it back up, trying to find a different strategy, trying to make the deck faster, trying to make the deck trying to find synergy in the deck, trying to make the deck work what it has to go against the meta. Eventually, after getting enough ass beatings, I was like, there's just no way in hell I can make Jaeger work in the current meta. There was no way I could make it work. So I basically did another regret, which was actually not really playing Buddyfight no more. Because let's be real, like I said before, it was hard finding singles. The game was becoming very expensive, and everything else. it just killed my mood right then and there. I was like, I low-key, as much as I really don't want to say this, I don't want to have nothing to do with Buddyfight. I'd rather just stick to Vanguard. Now, let's be real, Vanguard is actually having a power creep issue too, but it's at least manageable. Because at least I can find singles. At least I know somewhat how to combat against it. And Bushiroad was kind of sort of fixing the problems here and there. And then at the same time, the power creep was the power creep changed enough to where it was somewhat manageable. And then you also have to remember they did do the reboot, which I kind of feel like I think Buddyfight needed a reboot as well, but that's just me. So all of that killed my mood for it. It wasn't until Genesis Dragon came out that I decided to try Buddyfight again. Because Genesis Dragon was, it kind of plays similar to Jaeger and stuff like that. It was a lot more dangerous, a lot more dangerous than Dual Jaeger was. And, overall, I actually like the deck. I still have the deck and whatnot. And then, of course, they announced that they were going to can the game. So even though I tried to come back and, try to play with Genesis Dragon and give the game a second chance, it was already too late. Oh, that was a lot to get off my chest. So, now that we have this final set and whatnot, and we did get some stuff for Jaeger and all this other stuff. My biggest regrets was not investing a little bit more into the game, trying to save up to buy those $300, $500 decks and whatnot. Not really building the decks that I wanted to build, not being able to build Seeger, not being able to go into a tournament, not being able to go into the regionals at least once, and all of that just comes down to, I probably make like a lot of mistakes here and there. I will admit that. And there's probably something I definitely could have done about it more for me to enjoy the game. But just all the negative stuff that I was talking about earlier, that, in all the mistakes and everything else like that, and how the game was handled, I was, I couldn't really do nothing. I couldn't really do nothing about it. So, let's see. The only set that I ever actually, bought into and actually, was hyped about was Dark Lord's Rebirth. And that was like the one where we got more Jaeger stuff and stuff like that. But outside of that, there's nothing else I can really do. So, that's the end of this video. Thank you for showing up to the podcast. I want to know from people, do you think that I overreacted? Do you think I could have took a different approach? And if I did, I want to know what it is in the comment section or wherever I post it up in social media and whatnot. I want to know, because I do feel like that I could have took a different approach. I definitely could have felt that. But with that being said, my name is Mr. Z Nation, aka Savage Armor Jones Rafa. I am signing out.